An arrogant scientist told me to back off because I was working under his license. He ended up ruining all the samples, got yelled at, and lost his job. I'm a lab technician and there's this licensed scientist who is practically hated by everyone. But our manager and some supervisor that handles lab safety, these two are the only reason he hasn't been fired yet. This guy is so arrogant that he makes a point to tell every lab tech he comes across that he's a senior scientist with a license, so work should only be run when he's physically watching us. Meanwhile, other senior scientists tell us to call them if we need help. It goes without saying that the techs make a point to avoid assisting arrogant asshole whenever possible. One day, I was scheduled to work with Arrogant and another scientist. Good guy. There were 2 tests that needed to be run. Arrogant had partially set up the machine for one of the tests when I started checking the pipetting tips to make sure they were all the same size. Arrogant did not like what I was doing, so he stopped me and said, "What are you doing? You're working under my license. If you set up the machine, then I would be the one double checking your work. Since I'm the one setting it up, I don't need you double checking my work." Had he not essentially told me to fuck off, I was going to replace one of the 50 ult tip racks he had loaded because I noticed a few 300 ult tips were mixed in. Instead, I placed the tips back and walked away, while giving the biggest eye roll possible. I began helping good guy with the second test instead, who had just returned from a meeting and was happy to have me assist him.